Hi everyone and welcome to this presentation of our course for home recording and editing dedicated to classical musicians. This course is included in our master membership plans subscriptions and you can find it in the category Music and Career. As for all our courses, you can buy it separately too, but if you are a master member, just click on the blue watch button and access to the menu and the lessons. We have 8 videos that cover all the aspects that a musician needs to know in order to approach these subjects professionally. We are not going through all of them now. We will just focus on the main questions that come to an evolutive musician's mind when he or she approaches these purposes for the first time. And the first problem that we will sample is how do we place the microphones in a domestic environment. Well, the rules are the same that we follow both in theaters and studios, so you can use 1 or 2 microphones, and we are about to see a survey of the basic principles about how to place microphones in order to record classical instruments correctly. We suggest to listen to these samples with a headset in order to better understand the difference.
Stereo recording uses 2 independent channels being recorded simultaneously to capture sound. Each microphone is positioned to pick up the optimal sound of the instrument from 2 different angles. Placing a mic closer to the sound source will minimize the amount of room sound being picked up by the microphone compared to the direct sound from the instrument. We will be covering room acoustics in greater detail in another lesson of this course. Proximity effect is a low-frequency boost that happens when mics are placed close to a sound source. If low-end boost is not desired, you can either pull the mic back slightly or use a low-cut switch if available to flatten the response. The following examples are best heard when using headphones. The most common stereo mic configuration is the XY pattern, also known as the coincident pair. It uses 2 mics that are placed next to or above each other at a 90-degree angle facing the left and right sides of the stereo field. The XY configuration typically gives a good stereo image and easy to use in any size recording environment. Using a stereo microphone bar makes it a bit easier for positioning and only requires 1 mic stand instead of 2. The space pair uses 2 mics that are placed near the outside borders of the stereo field and pointed towards the sound source. The space pair typically gives a wider stereo image since the mics are further apart and tend to capture a bit more room tone. Using a space pair in a smaller environment such as this example may give you stereo imaging issues if the sound source is not stationary. In this example, the body movements of the musician are causing the sound to shift from left to right. This is probably not desirable for a solo performance. You can also capture sound with a single mic placed in front of or above the instrument being recorded.
The second question that every musician would wonder when thinking of recording himself or herself in a private space is which is the best corner to choose. You could think to use your living room, or your small office, or even the bedroom, Why not? You will be surprised to learn that a private home or a private office can actually be very good and helpful if it's properly used. Let's watch this.
Professional recording studios are purpose-built facilities constructed with specific goals and objectives in mind and designed by professionals with many years of experience in the field. Many of these facilities offer spacious recording rooms that are equipped with large format consoles and a wide variety of microphones and outboard gear. The biggest challenge of studio construction is to create an isolated space that keeps sound from being heard outside of the control room and recording room, and to keep outside noise from being picked up by the microphones during recording. For our purposes, we will focus on the fundamentals of acoustics within a room in order to optimize the sound for recording in the home environment. Reflection is when sound bounces off a surface. Collectively referred to as ambience, these reflections define the spatial characteristics of the room and have a major impact on the overall sound of the recording. Spaces with a lot of hard, flat surfaces are generally not ideal for recording since they create too many reflections and can diminish the clarity of the musical performance. As mentioned in an earlier lesson on mic placement, moving the mic closer to the sound source will minimize the impact of the ambience picked up by the mic. Many centuries before there were recording studios, the sound of large spaces used for music, such as concert halls and churches, relied on the reflections within the space to enhance what was being heard by the listeners. Absorption is when sound is kept from bouncing off a surface due to the material makeup of the surfaces. Bedrooms and living rooms tend to have less reflective properties since they have an increased number of softer surfaces such as carpet, drapes, large couches, mattresses, and bedding. Walk-in closets usually make good vocal booths since the clothing absorbs the sound very well. These materials make a big difference in altering the reflective properties of a room, drastically decreasing the amount of reflections that occur, and allows microphones to pick up more direct sound from the instrument. For recordings made under controlled conditions in a dry environment, ambience can be added electronically to the signal during mixdown to give more depth of field to a recording. This additional ambience is referred to as reverb. We will cover the use of reverb in the lesson on mixing.
Now we go to survey the part of the course that explains editing. You'll find how to download, install and operate a very famous and free application called Audacity. And the second part of the course covers all what you need to know in order to edit and mix your recordings. Let us give you here a survey of the most common subject areas that you'll find in your recording and editing process. Now let's come to the next topic that I want to show you in this presentation. When you record any acoustic instrument, violin, piano, cello, or even a guitar, you will notice an annoying background noise. This happens a lot, right? A sort of permanent shh that you have all along your recording, which of course makes it sound a little bit unprofessional and, let's be honest, also a little bit amateuristic. This is due to the fact that every microphone produces a native noise. And in the case of smartphones, the amount of noise which is recorded together with the actual sound is very high. With good microphones, this amount is massively reduced. But still, also depending on your recording environment, you could have some. Here's how you will be able to fix the problem.
The noise reduction plugin is ideal for reducing constant background noise such as fans, tape noise, or hums. It will not work very well for removing talking or music in the background. In this example, we have a performance of a violin with a lot of noise in the track. Let's zoom in and play the track from the beginning. This whole recording has that same amount of noise throughout, and it is very noticeable and distracting. To get rid of it, start by selecting an area that has only the noise. Under the Effects menu, select Noise Reduction. Click on the Get Noise Profile button. Once the noise profile has been captured, select the entire area to be processed. Go back to the Noise Reduction plugin. The plugin has retained the previous noise profile and will reduce based on the parameter settings. Click on Preview to audition the noise reduction settings. Once you are happy with the settings, click OK to apply the changes.
So, no more background noise in your recordings. Well, editing is a very fascinating process that can be from very simple to very complicated, also according to your needs and your personal taste. And there is a sequence of phases which has to be followed. So for example, compression, now we'll see what it is, will always come before adding reverb. So we're about to see some possible phases of your editing flow.
I'm going to select Bass and Treble in the Effect menu. This gives us the ability to make bass and treble adjustments. You'll notice that the volume changes as we add and take away energy. I just want to add a little bit of low end and leave the high end alone. We can listen to how this adjustment has altered the signal. Compression will smooth dynamics as desired. With the audio highlighted, select Compressor in Effect menu. Threshold and the ratio are the controls to focus on. The threshold will determine where we want compression to begin. The ratio will determine how much compression will be applied once the signal passes above the threshold. Since we will be normalizing, we will not be selecting the makeup gain for 0 dB after compressing. Let's listen to preview the current settings. That sounds good. Click OK to apply. You will notice how it minimized the dynamics between the peaks and the average signal. Let's go back and take a look at the signal before compression and after. An obvious difference.
And for last, as it has to be, let's talk about reverb, which is probably the most appreciated effect that a musician could want to add to his or her recording. We are about to see how we can start from an absolutely dry sound and have it reverbed in order to meet the nuances and the atmosphere that we want to offer to our audience. Once again, use a headset for better understanding of this very particular phase.
With the audio selected, select Reverb in the Effect menu. Although you don't get a choice of reverb type, there are settings to control room size, amount of reverberance, wet-dry gain, and stereo width. The room size parameter doesn't give us indication of room dimension and shows as a percentage. Let's preview these settings. That's fairly dry. Let's see if we can hear a difference if we raise the room size. This time I will set the room size to 80. We have a bigger room, but let's bring the reverberance up a bit. This will most likely be way too much, but good for comparison. It sounds nice, but it's a little too wet. We're hearing more of the reflections than the direct instrument. Let's bring that down a bit and listen to these settings. That sounds much better. You can also audition the wet-only signal. Clicking on the wet-only box takes the dry signal away completely. Using this feature helps to clearly hear the reverb as you fine-tune the settings before making a final decision. Make sure to deselect Wet-Only box before processing file. Click OK to apply the changes. We are ready for the next step.
Well, these were only some sample parts of our course, which is provided by Anthony Schultz, audio engineer and audio technology teacher at Boston. You can buy this course separately or have it included in our master membership plans, together with many other courses and masterclasses, in order to improve what we call your 360 degrees musical preparation. See you on the website. Thank you for watching.